everybody, and welcome back to TJ's Talk Show on this beautiful Monday afternoon. And we have quite the news segment here for you today, and mainly in the MLB, since there was a lot of moves that happened over the weekend. So that's very encouraging, but still not too many super big names signed. One actually happened this morning, and that would be Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers. He ended up re-signing. I'll just go ahead and spoiler alert. Re-signed with the Dodgers today. But guys like Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista, Mark Trumbo, those guys are still all over the market. So a pretty big weekend, pretty busy weekend. Not for the huge names, since there's always seems to be that one person that needs to sign before the domino effect really starts happening. And I really think it's Edwin. If Edwin Encarnacion signs a big contract, that'll give more money to Mark Trumbo, who led the league in home runs last year. So that'll definitely be something worth watching over. We still have a few months before spring training, and I know a guy like Encarnacion and Trumbo will be signed by the start of spring training. But anyway, let's go back into my spoiler alert. And Kenley Jansen re-signs with the Dodgers this morning. The second largest reliever contract in history of the MLB, behind Chapman's 5-year, $86 million deal that Chapman signed last week with the Yankees. Kenley Jansen and the Dodgers agreed to a 5-year, $80 million contract for the next 5 seasons, which is huge because that man, Kenley Jansen, has been an absolute stud. And you saw him in the playoffs, although they didn't make it all the way to the World Series. He's a guy that you can heavily rely on in a lot of different situations throughout the postseason. And now that he's gotten all that experience, you only think maybe if they make it back next year and the team got some experience from going through everything like that, this team could be very dangerous for many years to come. Well, at least the next 5 that they have Kenley Jansen. Also, sources have been reporting that the Dodgers are very, very close to signing free agent third baseman Justin Turner. So this could be the domino for a lot of other position guys before everyone else starts signing, because a lot of people wanted Justin Turner, even though he's 30, 31 years old, but definitely come into his own and made a name for himself. Still no true indication on what his contract is. I did read a couple of reports say it's a 4-year deal, so that'll definitely be something to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if news broke today or tomorrow that the deal has been done. But Justin Turner close to re-signing with the Dodgers. Also, over the weekend, we had a couple of trades. First off, we'll go with my Braves, since that was one that I didn't really see coming. And it's not really major league ready, roster ready, even though who the Braves traded ended up making the 40-man roster and the new team. And that would be the Tyrell Jenkins of the Atlanta Braves. Got traded to the Texas Rangers for a couple of prospects. Left-handed pitcher Tyrell Jenkins and left-handed pitcher Brady Fiegel were traded to the Rangers over the weekend, and the Braves ended up getting Luke Jackson, who's a first-round pick in the 2010 draft. So he does have a little bit of major league experience. He was the 15th prospect in the Rangers organization. So pretty mid-tier prospect that the Braves were able to pick up, and a guy who might be able to contribute a little bit this coming season with the Braves. They're still trying to work out those kinks in the bullpen. So Luke Jackson can definitely be a guy who can create a little stir, maybe add a little extra depth to that bullpen. So that was some big news for the Braves anyway over the weekend. Another trade that happened. The Washington Nationals traded infielder Danny Espinosa to the Angels for 2 minor leaguers. And those 2 minor leaguers are right-handed pitchers Austin Adams and Kyle McGowan. So Danny Espinosa was just the odd man out in the Nationals organization. They traded for Adam Eaton last week, so that put Eaton in center. That moved last year's center fielder Trey Turner back to his normal position at shortstop. And Danny Espinosa, who played there, didn't have anywhere to go. You can't move him to third because Rendon's there. You can't move him to second because Daniel Murphy's there. You can't put him at first because Zimmerman's there. So he was the odd man out. And you basically get a couple of prospects. McGowan was a 20th ranked prospect in the Angels organization, so not a complete just dumping of Espinosa's contract. Espinosa will most likely be the second baseman for the Angels. They do have Andrelton Simmons as their shortstop, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see Danny Espinosa starting at second base come opening day for the Angels. So that's also a good trade, and as a Braves fan, I like seeing Danny Espinosa get out of the East. Another guy we don't really have to worry about. Pretty good defensive guy. I got to see him a lot just by watching Braves games and stuff like that. So not having him there still adds a little. I mean, it's good, but it's also bad because they've added guys like Eaton to the roster, and Eaton's not a guy you can just take lightly. So Danny Espinosa once again traded to the Angels of Anaheim for Austin Adams and Kyle McGowan. Also, Yankees added another signing this over the weekend, signing 27-year-old Ruben Tejada. It's a minor league deal with a spring training invite. This over the last season, Tejada had a little hamstring injury that really caused him to miss some time. He started the year with the Mets. He started with the Mets, got cut, got released right before the season started. Then he signed with the Cardinals, where he started to run into some hamstring problems, and then, just things happened. The next guy in line stepped up and just took his job. So the Cardinals ended up releasing Ruben Tejada, and then he spent about 15 games with the Giants to end the season. And now he will be competing for a backup position, mainly behind Didi Gregorius at short, and their second baseman, Starlin Castro. So that's pretty much Ruben Tejada fighting for a backup position. No indication on how much the deal was worth, since it was a minor league contract. Also, the Rays took a little chance on catcher Wilson Ramos this weekend, who signed a 2-year, $12.5 million deal. The only reason I say they took a risk is because Ramos tore his ACL last September for the Nationals. So, there's always that hopes where he won't get into catching duties until mid-season of next year. But Wilson Ramos hopes to be able to contribute as a DH in April or May. So he's confident that he can make an impact one way or another and make that $12.5 million worthwhile. So Wilson Ramos and the Tampa Bay Rays agreed to a deal, 2 years, $12.5 million contract. And another question, here's a questionable move, in my opinion. I got a couple of buddies that are Diamondbacks fans, and they signed closer/relief man Fernando Rodney to a 1-year, $2.75 million deal with incentives that could push that deal up to $5 million. And I only say it's questionable because of what I've seen personally over the last few years. So let's go ahead and just start. He was a dominant closer 1 year in Seattle. I want to say 2014. 2015 rolls around and just can't get it done. Whatever it is, whatever he did, whatever his mindset was in 2015, he just couldn't do it. Just blowing saves left and right, and just wasn't himself, gave up a lot of leads, lost a lot of ball games, and just very discouraging. So he ends up getting traded to the Padres, where he had a little bit of success towards the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden, once again, takes a left-hand turn down the beaten path of just losing ball games. He just can't get it done for whatever the reason is. I don't know. I don't think it's a case of the yips. He's throwing strikes. He's getting the ball in play. He's not walking the yard or anything. But he just can't. He just doesn't have that killer instinct that he did even 3 years ago in 2014 with the Mariners, where he had 35, 40 saves. So that's something to definitely keep your eye on. The Diamondbacks hurting in their bullpen. Ziegler, he's no longer back at that back end. So you bring in Fernando Rodney, hoping the change of scenery can change his luck around, and hopefully he turns into a semi-dominant closer or even just a relief guy to get his confidence back. Because that's $5 million if he completes all his incentives. That could be worthwhile. I'd say it's a low risk at 2.75, high reward. I mean, best case scenario, he turns into his elite closer status or his dominant closer status, where he can get you 30 to 40 saves, especially on days where he's at Greinke pitches and Shelby Miller, and now Taijuan Walker. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I know my buddy, who is a Diamondbacks fan from that area, is not happy with the signing. Just didn't like anything about it, because my buddy lived in the Seattle, Vancouver, Washington, so just north of Portland area, and got to go to a lot of games anytime Arizona was in town and you had a free weekend. He'd go up there, just, true baseball fan, and he got to see firsthand the good side of Fernando Rodney when he was dominant, and then he got to see the absolute terrible side of Fernando Rodney where he couldn't buy a save, and now he's going to his favorite team, the hometown team, the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I definitely feel the frustration from my buddy Corey, who's skeptical about this signing, and I would be too. If the Braves would have signed him, I don't know how I would have felt, to be honest, because he's a guy that can get things done, but he's also a guy that I've seen that can't get an out to save his life. So it's always interesting to see how these relievers, they get a little bit older and their productivity goes down a little bit or a lot in this case, where he can't be the same pitcher as he was a few years ago. You're really wondering why they took a chance. I know they needed some bullpen help, and Fernando Rodney is one of the bigger names in that market, the relief pitching market. So that one's a little tough to swallow if you're a D-backs fan, but also especially trading Gene Segura a few weeks ago to the Mariners for Taijuan Walker. So, I mean, you're happy about the pitching. You're maybe not so happy about the bullpen signing with Rodney, but low risk, high reward, best case scenario. So that's pretty much what happened in the MLB over the weekend. Omar Infante signed with the Giants to a minor league deal. So there's another small minor league deal. No real details. He did have a spring training invite, but no real details were released about that signing. I mean, you don't know unless he makes a team, and then he'd probably receive league minimum, just like Ruben Tejada would. If they make the team, you get league minimum and work your way up. Guys that are just role players at this point. Omar Infante, former Brave, loved everything about him. Great guy, great clubhouse guy. Plays the game the right way, plays hard. He understands his role, and he does it to the best of his ability. So the Giants definitely got a good sign there. Hopefully he makes a team. Omar Infante, once again, signing with the Giants on a minor league deal with a spring training invite. So that is pretty much the 15 minutes that I have today. I might do another one here in the next few minutes. Russell Westbrook lost his seven straight triple-doubles streak. So might talk a little bit about that. You know what? Maybe not. I can go ahead and just lump it all together tomorrow. I don't see too many big MLB things happening tonight. So tomorrow will be more football and basketball. Today was mainly baseball. But once again, that's all we have time for today. This is TJ Pineda. Thank you guys for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.